Hey guys, welcome back to another video in our electrical series. In this video, what I'd like to do is build off of what I talked about in my last video. My last video was on basic circuits and what makes up a basic circuit. What I'd like to do is build on one of those components. The component we're going to build onto is going to be our power source. Now, before I get too far into talking about power sources, I want to talk a little bit about AC and DC. Now, AC stands for alternating current. Now, when I say that the current is alternating, I mean it's actually switching back and forth. Usually this is made by doing something with like a magnet field, and we're constantly pushing magnets through that field or pushing metal through that field to create that constant, that kind of positive, negative, positive, negative. So let me draw this up. So what we got is we're going to draw a graph, and on the top of this graph, we're going to have we'll do positive up here, and on the bottom we're going to have all of our negative. And I'm sure you guys have seen some of these things if you've worked in electrical at all. They're going to talk about how there's a wave, and it's going to start maybe negative, and then it's going to go up to positive, and then it's going to loop back, and then it's going to go back up, and then it's going to go back down. Usually we're going to have a line that goes through the center of this. That's going to kind of be that equilibrium. So, like I said, the power is going to be constantly changing from positive to negative. It's going to be positive 1 second, it's going to be negative the next. And that's going to be much faster. And we're going to get into AC and DC a little bit more in later videos. But for right now, you just need to know that AC stands for alternating current, meaning it's going to alternate back from positive to negative, positive to negative. Why is that important? Well, some of the components we're going to be using are going to be set up for AC, or they're going to be set up for DC. Some of those operate a little bit differently. For the most part, we should have all that set up for you, but just know there's things such as AC and DC. So let's go ahead and talk about DC really quick. Okay, so now we have DC. DC is a lot less complicated, but it's definitely not the superpower. AC is really where it's at. Everybody's going to use AC. It's going to be in what powers your street lights. It's going to power your house. AC is used everywhere. DC is going to be used in things like batteries in your car. It's also going to be batteries in your camera and your phone. All that's DC. So it has a lot of uses everywhere pretty much. So DC stands for direct current. Now a direct current, it's literally just going to be a straight line. Now depending on which theory you use, you could put the positive over here and the negative over here, depending on whether you're doing the whole theory, or you could be having the negative over here and the positive over here. But just remember, direct current is direct. It's going in one straight line. It's never changing. Now let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about the symbols and the different types of power sources. So let's go ahead and erase this. So let's start with DC, because we talked about that one before. Like I said, it's going to be multiple cells. And this is most commonly going to be a battery. So like I said, different batteries are going to have different cells. You're going to read a little bit about that. If you went and bought like a car battery, it might tell you how many cells are in that battery. It's not overly important to most schematics, other than it's just it could tell you whether it's a big battery or not. Like I said before, you're going to have your positive side up here, negative over here. There will be one connection. Sometimes there might be multiple connections coming off of that, but that's not super popular. And then you're going to have your positive coming off here. Sometimes we're going to see this negative. It's going to go, and on a car, we don't exactly have negative power lines running everywhere, or negative wires running everywhere. What we do is we'll take it and we'll go into a ground source, which a funny thing is a ground source is really, it's kind of like an upside down triangle that has lines. So a little bit kind of tricky, something to think about if you're working on a circuit on a car or something like that. So you might see a ground symbol. We'll talk about that more later too. So let's go ahead and we'll erase this one. Now let's talk about what an AC power source looks like. An AC power source will be drawn as a circle, and inside that circle we're going to have a wavy line. And I'm horrible at drawing these, but it'll be something like this. Kind of looks like a yin-yang in a way, but more than likely it'll have AC written here, or off to the side it'll say AC. You don't typically see these drawn very often. They're going to have lines here and here, because most of the time that's just going to be your incoming power is going to be AC. Really, circuits that are more basic, like in a car, that actually have a power source connected to them, they're going to have a battery drawn in. But you're not going to see this too often. What you will see a lot of, and I just quick reference, we're going to talk about this when we get into the magnetism section, is going to be a transformer. And a transformer will just be a bunch of loops, and this one will go down to something in a circuit, and then there's going to be ones coming in that are going to be a bunch of loops. You're going to see a lot of this. This is a transformer symbol. So as we move along, we're going to talk about this more. So that kind of concludes all the different types of power sources you guys are going to see. Just remember, as you're going along, moving forward into the tests and such, AC stands for alternating current, DC stands for direct current. If you guys have any questions or anything else I can go over, please let me know.